got into, if I could plot each one of the sizes of those stages of the creation, they would each be proportionate to these circles here. I just haven't had time to put all those graphs together yet and shrink them down to the right size and things. So you'd have the 0 point cycle, then you'd have the cycle 1 axis would be this axis, and that would be the axis that the Tauren was phasing on in that cycle, and then the next expansion would be on this axis, and the next one would be on this, and each one would represent an expansion of the energies being generated and put out by the, from the pulsing of the Tauren and the pulsing of the thing the Tauren created, which is the dyad, and the pulsing of the thing the dyad created, which is the myad. So these actually create the proportion relationships between the spirals of creation and between the spheres within spheres that, like the 1728, with all of those get plotted on here. And they show you the structure of the light body, what it's supposed to look like. You won't find these in Metatronic books because they make sure that you don't get at that Tauren in its normal state, because the Tauren actually has the power to override any message you made in the rest of the light bodies coming outward. And that's what we're in the middle of, is freeing the Tauren and clearing it of a harness that was put on it that didn't belong there, so we can restart and clear the entire system, because that's the only way it's not going to fall a black hole. That's the only way anybody's going to get out, let's say, of the black hole fall that's occurring in our galaxy. Now, science here will even tell you that there is a black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. They're also finding other ones recently that you see it floating around the internet and stuff. So this isn't science fiction. Science is already, backing some of this up. But they're not going this far. Right. So I just wanted to see a 6 cycle actually has 8 axes, up to 6 are spark generation cycles. Then you have the tachyon cycles that take place during the Hetharohethalon and the reset cycles. So this between 6 axis and 7 axis is, I do believe, where your tachyon cycle would happen, where the keys activate and gets the thing ready to go to pulse inward. And then this cycle is probably, I'm just learning this part of it myself, this from 7 to the 8th or back to 0, which would be the 0 point line, is the point where the tachyon field activates and everything pulls back in and then replicates back out to the next level of expansion. So these diagrams just show you the beginning of understanding something we need to understand threshold. Because if anything, I'd want, before we leave tonight, I want you to understand a little bit about what I'm talking about the threshold grid that belongs to the Metatronic side. Actually, it belongs to the Thetans, who have now plugged it in to the Metatronic side so they could take over the Metatronic beast. And if we understand this basic proportion of the proportions of how the Cathara grids grow from each other, how creation, the amount of quantum, this is about how much quantum is generated in each cycle, right, that allows for a replication of what size to occur for the next time. And there's specific numbers, and there are specific numbers of what's called the Christ code, which has to do with the Karayasata, right? These are sound tones. Has the stories of Christ and things. This is not just about Christians. This is about everybody. All right, there was an original set of teachings that belong. We have Allah there. We have Buddhist sparks there. They're all part of it. So this is the one spiritual teaching that all of the others came out of. And we talk about Krystal a lot, but I want it to be clear, especially to people that are new, that we're not just saying this is just for Christians, that you have to be a Christian to believe in any of this, or that this is the structure that's reserved for Christians because they're somehow elite compared to other people, because it's none of those things. All right, these are just sound tones of the vibrational encryptions. That's where we get the sounds that come together to form the words, and that's how they are used in our teachings. Now, anyway, this shows you the proportions. Down here, it gives you just another list of the